to another video, and today we are going to be doing another tier list today. And today we are going to be doing a tier list on Favorite Co., which is a Japanese dinosaur company, and yeah, let's just jump into this video. First we have Dimorphodon, which this is one of their newer figures that they've released, and I give it a B tier. Pretty decent, pretty nice Dimorphodon. There's just nothing too crazy about it. I also gave B tier to the smaller version, which the first one is more like a soft rubber one, which is really big, while on the other hand this one is an actual smaller plastic one. So yeah. Next we have one of my favorite figures that they've released, and this is also another new one, the Dinosaurus, which I gave S tier because I absolutely love this thing. And then I also gave S tier to their other Dinosaurus design because it looks really nice, and again this is the smaller one. Next, this is probably one of the last of the new ones that they've released, and this is the Ichthyosaurus, and I gave this one S tier as well because this one is also a great figure. I also gave S tier to the smaller variation of it because it's also really nice. Also gave S tier to this Ankylosaurus because this is just a really nice Ankylosaurus model. And I gave C tier to this Ankylosaurus. There's just quite a few things that I think just make it look a little bit off. I also gave C tier to this Ankylosaurus. I know it's a minifigure, but still the paint job is not the best. And I gave C tier to this Ankylosaurus. It's a little bit better than the other one, but not as good as the first one, so C tier. A tier to this Dilophosaurus. It's actually a great Dilophosaurus model. Next, I gave A tier to this Dilophosaurus. Yeah, I like this one slightly less than the other one, but yeah, this one also is really nice. I gave S tier to this Therizinosaurus figure. I really like this one, and I don't know why. Next, I gave A tier to this Therizinosaurus model, which also looks really good, but I gave it A tier. Next, I gave E tier to the Giganotosaurus. There are a few things that I feel is just a bit off. I know it's hard to get these models to stand, so they do have to stand kind of in a weirder posture, but again, it still just looks a little bit off. And then I gave B tier to this Giganotosaurus. The other one looks significantly better. And then I gave A tier to this Giganotosaurus, which also looks really nice. It just looks a little bit skinny, though. Next, I gave B tier to this Parasaurolophus. Looks pretty solid. Also gave B tier to this Parasaurolophus. I think I prefer the colorations of this one better. And also, this one also kind of looks like the Dinosaur King Awakened Parasaurolophus, which is interesting. Next, we have C tier for the Velociraptor. There's just something off with the arms and also the feathers on the back of the head, so that's why I gave it this rating, but it is a pretty nice figure. Next, I gave A tier to this Velociraptor. Honestly, this one's actually really good. The only issue I really have is the color scheme looks, honestly, could be a little bit better. B tier for the Carnotaurus. Again, the posture looks a little bit off, but I know it's just because it's this style of figure, but yeah, it's still a pretty decent figure. I gave C tier to this Carnotaurus. The colorations don't quite work the rest, and also I think the way the paint was applied kind of covers up a lot of the detail. Next, I gave A tier to the Mosasaurus. This is actually a really nice Mosasaurus model. I gave B tier to this Mosasaurus on the other hand. I'm not the biggest fan of the colors, and also the face looks a bit off. Gave S tier to this Mosasaurus because just look at it, it's amazing. And I gave B tier to this Pachycephalosaurus, which honestly looks pretty decent. This is a really nice Pachycephalosaurus model. I kind of wish it was kind of posed properly because I think this would be like amazing, one of the best Pachycephalosaurus models. Next, I gave B tier to this Pachycephalosaurus, which honestly, it's kind of similar to the other one except in reverse, where the model is not the best, but the actual posture is great. Next, I gave A tier to the Tarbosaurus. I know the posture is a bit off, but honestly, it looks less off than the other ones, and also the face looks really nice, and the way the paint is applied is really good as well. So I really like the Tarbosaurus. And I gave B to this Tarbosaurus. It's pretty decent. It also kind of looks like the Dinosaur King Tarbosaurus, but yeah. Next, we have A tier for Iguanodon, which, again, honestly, my biggest issue with this one is actually the eyebrow ridges look really weird. I don't know why it has them. I don't think Iguanodon has eyebrow ridges. And also, it's a little bit skinny in the neck and tail. But, yeah. Next, I gave A tier to this Iguanodon. Honestly, it looks great. The only issue I have, again, is the eyebrow ridges. Next, I gave A tier to this Quetzalcoatlus. Looks great, actually. This is a really good Quetzalcoatlus model. And I gave B tier to this Quetzalcoatlus model. The paint is not as good as the other one, though. It's, again, because this is a smaller model. But, on to the next one. S tier for this Diplodocus. This is a really nice Diplodocus, especially since, if you think about what the material is made out of, and then the size it would be, it is a really nice model. Next, we gave S tier to this Diplodocus model. I'm sorry if I called the other one Apatosaurus, I meant to say Diplodocus, but, yeah, this Diplodocus also looks really nice. I gave B tier to this Styracosaurus, which Honestly, I know it's just the style that the figure is made in, but it looks a little bit puffy in a few areas, kind of in the frill and legs, and also the toes on the back foot look a little bit off. But besides that, this figure looks great. And I gave A tier to this Tyrannosaurus, also looks amazing, though the colorations could be a little bit more interesting. Gave A tier to this Tyrannosaurus model. It's pretty decent. Gave C tier to this Tyrannosaurus model. It looks like the Dinosaur King Megaraptor when it comes to colorations. I don't know why, but yeah. Also, I gave C tier to this one, but I prefer it over the other one because the paint job looks better than on the other one in my opinion. Gave C tier to this Tyrannosaurus. There are a lot of T-Rexes that they've released, but yeah. D tier for this Tyrannosaurus. D tier for this Tyrannosaurus. D tier for this Tyrannosaurus. And A tier for this baby Tyrannosaurus because it looks nice. And I gave A tier to this T-Rex model. This is actually a really nice T-Rex model. And I gave B tier to this Tyrannosaurus model. Not as good as the one right before it, but it is still really nice. And I gave B tier for this Tyrannosaurus model. A tier for this Stegosaurus model. Actually, really high A tier. I love this figure. It looks really nice. And I gave B tier for this Stegosaurus model, which also looks really nice. C tier for this Stegosaurus. There are just a few things that are quite off about it. And I also gave C to this one because they are technically different. There's just very minor differences between these two, but they're very similar. Okay, Fukui Openator, I gave A tier because it's actually a really nice small dromaeosaur. And then B tier for the Colossosaurus, or Colossosaurus, which pretty decent. And then for Fukui Titan, I gave B tier, which honestly I wish I could give this one higher, but it's kind of just a basic sauropod, but I do still really like it. And I gave B tier for Fukuisaurus, which also is a pretty decent model. And also gave B tier for Fukui Raptor. Then I gave A tier for this model, which is a fight between Velociraptor and Protoceratops, which I'm surprised there are not more models of this, and yeah, it's really nice. B tier for this Pteranodon, B tier for this Pteranodon, B tier for this Pteranodon, and B tier for this Pteranodon, and also B tier for this one, which this one looks like it's laughing though, and I kind of like it. A tier for this Brachiosaurus. The face looks really nice. Honestly, it looks really nice. It's just, you kind of have to look a little bit closer to see how nice the figure is, though. B tier for this Brachiosaurus. I honestly prefer the other one way more than this one. And then it also comes in blue, which also got B tier. The baby Brachiosaurus also gets a B tier, but it's higher than the last two, because I do prefer this one a little bit over those ones. And B tier for this Brachiosaurus. The neck is just in a really weird position. And I gave C tier for this Brachiosaurus. The colors leave a lot to be desired. And I put B tier for this Allosaurus, which, personally, this looks like a Neovenator. I don't know why, but, yeah. As an Allosaurus, it gets B tier. It's pretty solid. B tier for this Allosaurus, also a pretty nice figure. A tier for this Allosaurus. This is, like, the most Allosaurus-y Allosaurus I think I've ever seen. E tier for this Allosaurus. I just think the paint job has a lot to be desired, the sculpt has a lot to be desired, and a few other things have a lot to be desired just due to the sculpt of this figure. Next we have A tier for the Spinosaurus. The tail looks a bit short, and a few other portions also look a little bit off, but yeah, pretty decent. I like the coloration. A tier for this Spinosaurus, also really nice. C tier for this Spinosaurus, and C tier for this Spinosaurus. Also gave C tier for this Spinosaurus, just there are a few things that look off, like the sail, the tail, and the lower jaw, and actually the upper jaw as well. Just do look a little bit off, in my opinion. S tier for this Spinosaurus model. This is literally just a really nice swimming Spinosaurus. B tier for this Spinosaurus model. It's actually pretty decent, but the backhand looks a little bit off. I believe the right hand, yeah, the right hand looks a little bit off, in my opinion. Then B tier for this Triceratops, which this Triceratops both looks kind of like Chomp from Dinosaur King, but at the same time also looks like the Dino Dana Triceratops. So yeah, along with this one as well. These ones are a little bit different, but yeah, this is somehow different from the other model, and it's about as good as the other. A tier for this Triceratops. I prefer this one over the other ones, and it looks really nice. A tier for this Triceratops as well. It's also a really nice model. And A tier for the baby Triceratops. I'm not the biggest fan of the blue spots. I feel like they could have been put in a little bit better of a pattern, but it's still really nice. A tier for this Triceratops model. The paint on the beak looks really weird. I don't know why they decided to do it like that, but yeah, still a really nice model. And B tier for this Triceratops. Then we have A tier for the Archaeopteryx, which looks really nice, actually. And I gave A tier for the Plesiosaurus. All I got to say is that the head kind of looks like the Walking the Dinosaurs Cliptoclidus, in my opinion, but yeah. Next, we have A tier for this Plesiosaurus, which again, I feel like there could have been a little bit more color variation than just a black Plesiosaurus, but yeah. Next, we have S tier for this Anomalocaris model. It's literally just a giant, like, 2.5 foot long Anomalocaris that is, like, kind of plushy and plastic at the same time. I love this thing. Next, I gave S tier to this Anomalocaris, which I think I have a bootleg of this figure, which is a different coloration, but it's this sculpt. And, yeah. Next, we also have S tier for this Anomalocaris, which looks good as well. Next, we have C tier for the Smilodon. There are a few things off of it. I know it's the style of the figure, but the legs just look really, really weird. And then I gave B tier for this Smilodon. Pretty solid. A tier for this woolly mammoth figure, which I know it's kind of hard to do fur texturing, but it does not really look like it has fur. It kind of just looks like it has a lot of hair. But, same for the other one. But still pretty decent. Also has A tier. Next, I gave A tier for the Dunkleosteus, which is also really nice. But this other variation gets S tier just because it looks really nice as well. Honestly, I prefer it a little bit over the other one. Next, we have A tier for the Archelon, which, again, the flippers look a little bit puffed up. But besides that, this is one of the best Archelon figures I think I've ever seen. Along with the other one, which is also A tier. Well, which is A tier because I prefer the colorations. Next, we have A tier for the Dimetrodon. This looks really good. The only issue I have with it is again, the legs look a little bit off. But this model honestly fixes it for the second variation, which I'll give A tier. C tier for the Megalodon. It kind of just looks like a generic shark, and the teeth look really human-like, and I don't like that. But the other one is a little bit better, but still get B tier. And then we have A tier for the Coelacanth. I mean, it's a coelacanth, and it looks just like a coelacanth, so it looks good. And I also gave A tier for the other coelacanth. I gave A tier for Opabinia, which looks great. And I also gave A tier for the other Opabinia. I also gave A tier for the Hallucigenia, and A tier for the Manila. Also, I don't know exactly what this thing is, but yeah, I give it A tier, looks nice. And an A tier for this species of Trilobite. And S tier for Waxia, because I like Waxia. And you can barely see it, but Pikaia also gets A tier. And then this is just a set with a bunch of skulls, which, I mean, they're dinosaur skulls and they look great, so S tier. And that was the favorite code tier list. And, yeah, this company's really good, honestly. Probably the second best company, or possibly even the first best company. Honestly, it's kind of tied with Beast of the Mesozoic so far. So, yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.